I cannot.
The Lowdown on Science is produced by LDOS Media Lab in partnership with the University of California Irvine Science Communications and 89.3 KPCC. On the web at lohdownoscience.org.
Adrian gets the carry, and he's loose! Parisi winds and scores! Puckett swings and hits a blast! Deep left center, way back! Catch 'em all, Kirby Puckett! Lob it to Garnett, beneath the foul line, the fadeaway with a hand in space in the air for the win! Yes!
This is Sidelines on your Sound and Sports Alternative, KVSC.
Good afternoon and welcome to Sideline Sports Talk here on KVSC 88.1 FM every single Friday starting at 12:30 right on the dot. I'm your host, Katie Emmer, alongside a fabulous panel this afternoon. Thomas Breach, Mitchell Barnhart, Will Heyer, and Colin Wachowski. Why did I have a typo on there? Shout out to AJ Fredrickson right now. Barnhart for sure.
It's Barnhart.
Yo, Adrian.
Adrian.
All right, to start today, you guys, the Twins are back. Am I right?
They're rolling.
Did you watch that game last night?
Who didn't? I saw parts of it. I didn't get to see
Yeah,
the whole
Thomas,
thing,
I'm so happy to have you back here. Our baseball analyst is in the house.
It's been great to watch the Twins this year. I don't think I've been this excited about a team since
It's fun.
2010.
It's fun. It's good times.
Pitching's not too bad
either for once.
Bullpen scares me going into the playoffs.
I think, if anything, I mean, if you look at Buxton last night, the walk-offs, and then you had Rosario on Wednesday night.
You're still assuming that we make the playoffs right now. Wild card game.
Of course, negative Will.
Wild card game does not mean playoffs.
Well,
here.
I don't think you've ever been
not at
hopeful
this
about
panel.
anything.
Not at this panel.
What?
Wild card, the single wild card. I want to see.
So
a series.
you're telling me you're not?
I want to see a series.
You're telling me you're not a playoff team if you're in the wild card?
Yes.
They literally book it as MLB postseason wild card game.
I feel that, but
No,
not
literally, their last 3 wins have set them 8 games above 500,
No.
so
I know they're going to make that wild card game, but will they beat the Yankees in New York?
I think they're going to beat the Yankees.
I think the question. Wow.
That's
Shout out to Joe Scarella. I hope
Hot
he's
take.
listening right now.
That's a hot take.
Hot take.
Well,
When's the last time? When's the last time the Twins have beat the Yankees in New York in a wild card playoff game?
This year.
Or a wild card
In a wild
game,
card
I should
playoff
say.
game.
I should say
Well,
wild card game.
The Twins have never played in a wild card playoff game because that was implemented a couple years ago. So
Okay,
That's
well,
true.
I feel like they get bounced by the Yankees.
They
in,
do. They
in
do
New
have
York
that
all the
Yankees
time.
Curse.
They have
ever
the Yankees
ever
curse.
since a bunch of fans out in left field at the Dome got really mad during a Yankees game, they threw a ton of hot dog wrappers on the field. So on Dollar Hot Dog Day, the Twins took that away. They put a limit on hot dogs that you could get, and ever since then they haven't beat the Yankees in the playoffs.
That was some really.
We need to bring this to the Poliad's attention.
I'm glad that you brought up Byron Buxton though, Katie, because he's
Yeah, he's on
been
fire.
crazy since August 10th.
You know what?
He's got 10 home runs, 5 triples, 6 steals, 29 runs scored. He's hitting .333 and slugging .683. Those are big time down the stretch numbers for a guy who we've been looking for this for 2 or 3 years.
Didn't he have a little fumble around too going down to minors, or am I mixing him up with?
Yeah, he's really struggled with adjusting his swing to the majors. James Rowson has done a really good job with him this year, the hitting coach of the Twins. And they early in the season they took away his leg kick. They had him move into a quick, simple approach at the baseball.
Yep.
But they've added a leg kick recently, and I mean his power numbers.
That's
have
some
shown.
I mean,
hot
look at that.
analysis right there.
I love it.
Thomas
I love
Breach.
that. Thomas Breach, our
the-
baseball
the
analyst.
Unsung hero though of this last half of the season, Joe Mauer hitting 306.
Joe.
Let's go. MVP.
And Gold Glove defense at first base.
Yep.
Don't sleep on that.
Yep.
Don't sleep on it.
And Eddie Rosario has also had a pretty good last half of the season too, which is definitely good to see.
Yeah, big time power too from Eddie, hitting over 20 bombs.
I kind of liked that Granite in center field. Is that his name? Zach Granite?
Zach Granite.
What a time to be alive.
What a time.
We're excited. Guys, we're excited about a fourth outfielder right now for the Minnesota Twins. How
I'm
big
excited.
is
It's good. No, I mean, admit it. We've been fumbling around a lot of different guys the last couple of seasons, and I think we're finding a spark. And speaking of finding a spark, let's talk about the Cleveland Baseball Club.
One
Good
second.
segue.
I wouldn't say we've been fumbling around. We have been we've been the equal of the Mark Sanchez butt fumble.
Yeah, we've been butt fumbling around.
Yes, we've been butt fumbling around. Sorry.
The opposite of butt fumbling around.
Speaking of clicking, though, we're going over to the Cleveland Baseball Club. What is going on? 22 wins. This is the most in the American League. This is the record, but all-time baseball league, what was it, 26?
26.
For the Giants in 1916.
World Series. They didn't win the World Series, but Christy Mathewson was a relief pitcher on that team. Big-time name drop right there.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
This
Thomas.
is a big moment. Do you think I think they have another World Series run in them, but I think their attitude is good too.
Yeah,
you guys listen to Kluber kind of talk about we don't care about the streak.
Right.
Well, Kluber
Thoughts?
doesn't care about
What
anything. He's
he
insane.
cares to win though. That guy's a man.
Well, yeah, but I'm
Like,
just
have
meaning
you
he
seen
doesn't
him?
show emotion.
He
is
is
what I'm saying.
he is a man.
And they're getting Andrew
right.
Miller back, big bullpen arm today.
Yeah.
They're doing it without
Yeah.
Miller. They've done it without Kipnis, too, for the most part of this. It's crazy. Jose Ramirez has been fueling an MVP race. Corey Kluber has been unbelievable.
Why am I blanking? Second baseman.
They have three guys that are hitting
For
over
Cleveland.
300 right now, which is
Jose
huge.
Ramirez has been playing second with, I think not Urshela at third, maybe Urshela at third. But Kipnis has been out.
They're thinking of moving Kipnis to the outfield, actually,
Right.
when he comes back. That's how good they've been without him.
What a
Kipnis
great
is the
baseball
second-
mind.
Well, you got to think, though, too, this many wins in a row, talk about clicking. I mean, something's working. They got to keep doing whatever they're doing.
I think
they've been
they're pretty
playing-
mad that they lost to the Cubs in the World Series. They want to go. They're
Yeah.
hunting. They're
Oh, yeah.
just like another Cleveland team did last year. Or no, yeah, last year. Well, 2 years ago now. They got pretty salty after losing, and they went right back and gave it to them. I think it's the same thing going on. Cleveland doesn't like losing.
Yeah, Cleveland's doing it now, too, with some fantastic defense. Their bats have been insane. They're getting out. They're being aggressive early against opponent pitchers, getting out to those 1-0, 2-0 leads really early in games. And they haven't been doing it against the best competition, but, I mean, still, when you're going out there and winning 22 now straight games,
Yeah, it's working.
something's doing.
Yeah.
Something's working right.
And not winning 22 straight games, but kind of staying alive. What about the Dodgers?
Oh, I should have worn my Dodgers hat today.
Are you a Dodgers fan?
No.
Or? Good talk. See you out there.
I still think LA is a tough.
Wow.
I still think LA is a tough out in the playoffs.
Yeah.
They have the pitching to kind of right themselves. I mean, Kershaw, you can talk about playoff Kershaw, but come on. He's still Kershaw. He can still go out and have a Kershaw game. They have Darvish in that rotation. Rich Hill has been outstanding ever since he decided I'm going to throw 80% curveballs. Alex Wood faltering a little bit down the stretch, but still, they have the pitching to work in the playoffs. They just need to have a couple of hot weeks, late September, for them to truly be contenders in my eyes.
Everyone thinks that they're going to do well in the playoffs, and they only get to the NLCS every season.
That's true.
Or even worse, NLDS sometimes. Like, they haven't made a World Series in years.
Yeah, but still, when you look at that pitching, something's got to give. If their bats get hot, I could see them playing in the World Series.
Right.
Awesome.
Good talk.
Good talk. See you out there. All right. Baseball. Good times. Good times. We're moving into NFL, though.
Ooh.
And I mean, we could talk about J.J. Watt laying out a guy last night like he just got hit by a bus.
Hit.
But firstly, back to, 5 days ago, I want to talk about the Vikings.
The Vikings.
How
Skull.
about
Am
them
I right?
Vikes? Thoughts. I mean, what did we see in that game? I'm going to throw it to Will.
We saw complete and utter domination. It was domination.
It wasn't quite
It
domination.
was
It was
phenomenal.
domination.
Stephon Diggs went off.
How is it
2
not?
touchdowns. Like, the most of any rookie since Randy Moss in like 2004.
Drew Brees didn't throw a touchdown until garbage time. He's one of the best quarterbacks to ever play. How did
That
we
was
not
so
dominate
awesome.
them?
I think
How?
I think that it wasn't complete.
That is blasphemous.
Blasphemous. Good old Stephen A. Smith. I think that it wasn't complete domination because they still got on the board for 19 points. I think a domination would be a more decisive victory, but don't get me wrong. I'm elated with how that went. I feel like, did you see something? I think I saw something that I haven't seen in over a year, which was a Vikings O-line that can actually block for Sam Bradford.
That was awesome.
It's
Did you
all about-
not see Dalvin Cook too? His pass protection is exactly what we needed.
Oh, exactly.
I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, show that to AP on the other side. Give him a little, what do you call those little surface things, little iPads?
Well, he'd have to show it to him because he didn't even get on the field.
Yeah.
It was pretty bad.
He was on the field 9 times.
All those memes of
Who,
him yelling.
Latavius Murray or Adrian Peterson?
Adrian Peterson.
Come on.
Who's
You
he?
just got a little stage fright.
You know,
What-
I think
Who
it
does he
helped.
play for?
I think it really helped the Vikings O-line that they finally got an Iowa Hawkeye grad.
Oh
on
my.
that, on that
Okay.
grouping.
Okay.
Riley
okay.
Reef.
Shameless. Shameless.
You have no shame.
It's a school of O-linemen.
Well, anyway, I thought the Vikings were fantastic. I thought Stephon Diggs is
I know,
only,
isn't that
he's
fun?
only getting better,
Yeah.
honestly. He went from a decent I mean, keep in mind he's a 5th round pick, right? You know, 5th round picks don't rarely ever really pan out, but like I think that all right.
He's only a 5th or 6th round pick because he tore his ACL. He's a 1st round talent in that draft.
I mean, obviously he's playing like it, you know? He's late. He's balling out every single
Everyone
week.
knew. Everyone knew.
So yeah, I mean, first year he was expectations were unsure because of that injury, but then second year he really kind of started to grow and spread his wings, and I think now he's like a top 15 wide receiver.
Let's talk
Yeah.
about Adam Thielen.
Talking about some top players.
Adam Thielen?
No,
Adam Thielen.
Adam Thielen.
He is the real deal for the Vikings.
Big time
He
deep
catches
threat.
everything that goes to him. He's always open. He had the most yards for or second most yards in the NFL week 1.
Yeah, I feel like Adam Thielen. I feel like those three, Bradford, Thielen, and Diggs, work really well
Yeah,
together.
let's talk about Bradford, the top MVP of the NFC this week. I mean, doesn't he? Who else would deserve that?
No one.
no
There
one
was no
really.
one.
He threw for 379 and 3 touchdowns.
He
I don't
did
know how
have
much
an
better he's supposed to
MRI
be.
on his knee within
That's
the last
true.
48 hours.
Saw
though.
that.
So
If we lose another quarterback to a knee injury,
another one.
there's always next year. You know, there's always next year
All
How
right,
many
well,
times do we have to say that though,
Classic-
before we're
classic
beating a dead horse?
Minnesota.
until it's true.
what are we looking at for Pittsburgh here?
I don't know. Pittsburgh,
Complete and utter domination.
Gosh, Will.
Their defense isn't very good. They're losing their best pass rusher in Stephon Tuitt this week. He's out for multiple weeks here, so I mean, we're gonna have a little more time, which is nice, but
yeah.
it's gonna come down to if our offense doesn't shoot themselves in the foot and sustaining, unlike last
That's a great
year.
analogy.
So
And I mean, if Xavier Rhodes can keep Antonio Brown to
That's
70 to 100 yards with no touchdowns, that's a pretty good day.
Easy for him too.
I don't know. Antonio
Meh.
Brown is an out of this world.
yeah, but you're
talent.
Xavier Rhodes.
I think Le'Veon Bell's a big X factor this
That's
game, though.
really true. I think that like that's going to be an interesting showdown with Rhodes versus Brown, and then how the defense deals with Le'Veon Bell. It's gonna be interesting because Le'Veon Bell it depends on which Le'Veon Bell you get. You know, sometimes it's the super talented can't be stopped Le'Veon Bell. Sometimes it's the run for 40 yards and no touchdowns Le'Veon Bell.
He did have 34 yards last week too, so
Yeah.
It's going to be literonious.
All right.
it's gonna be a lituation.
A
How about that?
Lituation.
All right, no,
lituation.
talking. What about? I don't like them. Sorry, I'm not gonna express my opinion too much. But Packers defense, you got to give it. Looked surprisingly pretty good.
It did look pretty good. I don't think it'll hold up for the whole season though. Their defensive secondary is just
atrocious.
oh my.
How come
that's-
I've been
that's-
hearing everywhere that they're at the top. They're gonna like a top ranked. They'll make it far team.
You might.
I think
be
you hang
listening
around
to the-
Leif Ender a little bit too
Yeah.
much.
or listening
Yeah.
too much Colin Coward.
Okay, those are
both.
two bad opinions.
Ooh.
I
Another
hope
hot take.
I hope Leif is listening.
I hope Leif's listening too. Leif, just so you know, the Packers defense is not as good as you think. And
Clay
and-
Matthews is washed up.
Oh, are you sure about that?
Hot
I'm
take.
positive about it.
I don't think Clay Matthews is washed up.
I
dude.
bet he doesn't accumulate more than 6 sacks on the season.
Wow.
That's probably a good guess.
I'm giving him a solid like 10 or 11 on the season.
That's a. All right.
It's Clay Matthews.
That's a hot take. That's a bigger hot take. That's hotter than my hot take.
Yeah, I know. It's pretty hot.
All right. No. What are some top games to? Or actually, do we want to talk about J.J. Watt last night? How about that? Big win.
It was a big one. I liked it. It was good to see.
Did you guys even watch this game?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Terrible teams. Terrible.
So we're just gonna move on.
It was just terrible
Okay.
game.
It's trash.
It was a terrible game.
Okay.
The best play of the game was J.J. Watt spearing an O-lineman at the end of the game.
And he comes up like pounding his
He was
chest.
like, yeah, dude,
that
you
guy's
tackled a
dead.
guy that can
you
run
just
like...
killed someone.
Yeah.
Like, pound on your chest a little more.
It's all right.
What are some top games to watch this coming week for some football?
Top games to
That's
watch.
a good question.
Eh?
Vikings Steelers is always a big one.
I was going to say, other than Vikings Steelers, what are we thinking?
Who the Broncos play? That's always going to be a good matchup.
That's true.
We got Denver and Dallas. Denver
That'll
and
be
Dallas.
big.
That's gonna be a battle. Denver defense against the Cowboys offense. Cowboy O-line versus Denver defensive line.
That's gonna be a battle.
Let's go.
Another big matchup, Packers-Falcons to open up
Yep,
the
that'll
Falcons
be a
new
good
stadium.
matchup.
That's probably the biggest
Ooh.
game to watch this
Oh,
week.
Oh, dude. Speaking of Packers defensive secondary, have I said they're atrocious yet? They're gonna get burnt. They're gonna get burnt.
Julio
by
Jones
Matt
is gonna
Ryan.
have a day with Matty Ice. It's over.
Okay, we're running out of some time on the football talk, but we're still going to stick with it. Did this segment last week for those of you that weren't here last week. We're now doing a segment, Fantasy Football.
Yes.
So I'm assuming all of you have a million trillion leagues that you're in. AJ Fredrickson has the most of anyone I know, probably Jeremy Lagos.
That's disgusting.
Anyway, we're going to start with, last week we didn't have enough time. We're going to start with defense. Defensive teams. Who do you guys got?
Tampa Bay. They're playing
Ooh.
Chicago. Very good matchup for Tampa Bay, even though the Bears almost did come back and beat Atlanta this last week. But
And they got T.J. Ward for back there in safety.
That's true. T.J. Ward adds an interesting side of that defense. I like Tampa Bay.
Some
I like that pick.
attitude.
I had the Jaguars defense just
Ooh.
on accident, and they scored like 30 points.
so did the Rams.
The Rams too. I feel like either one of those defenses were doing pretty well. I don't know how much of that is matchup and how much of that is like talent in those defenses.
The Rams did play the Colts, and Tolzien did start that game, and they sat on my bench. So
Ooh. That had to hurt.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I had the Patriots against the Chiefs, and that didn't end well either. So
Well,
What do you
I
got,
don't
Will?
know. I don't know how many interesting people. Well, let's put it this way: you shouldn't have two defenses on your team. But if you have to make a choice, and you have the Cardinals defense this week, you start the Arizona Cardinals up against Indianapolis. They're starting Jacoby Brissett this week. It's going to be a bloodbath.
A bloodbath. No, I agree with you though. I think that it's the same thing.
Horrible.
That's horrible. That's horrible and awful mixed together.
Or awful. Yeah, I think that it's going to be tough though because Brissett's coming into a new system. It's the same thing as Bradford last year. You know, that same challenge that Bradford faced for the Vikings. I think that Brissett, he's just trying to get used to what it's like
And
in
there's
Indy.
a gigantic difference in talent level.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I don't know. I like Arizona. It's going to be good.
Thomas, who you got?
I really like Oakland's defense this week. They're playing the New York Jets. Anytime you're playing the Jets, you're starting in my lineup.
1 year in fantasy, it was during the Mark Sanchez era of the Jets. I would add and drop defenses depending on who was playing the Jets.
That's what I do. Streaming defenses for the win.
I scored 12 points a week every year. I know it's not fantastic, but it's solid.
I mean,
at
it's
defense.
how you cheat at fantasy.
Yeah, just add and drop. It's a business.
You're never going into my league.
All right. I don't have to explain myself, but I have the Minnesota Vikings defense.
Why's
so
that?
we're going to move on. Are you kidding me?
Who do they play?
The Steelers.
one of the top
Yeah, one of the
offensive trios in the
top-
league.
I don't
Yeah.
care. I don't care.
Two, here we go.
Just discussion over. I have the Vikings defense. We're moving on to tight ends. Who you got?
Tight ends.
Sleeper here,
Ooh.
and another Iowa Hawkeye,
Ooh.
George Kittle,
Ooh.
big time. He's gonna.
Where
he
is he?
might be starting now for
Where
San
is he?
Francisco. He's
I
he's
literally
either
don't
the
know who
number
that is.
1 or the number 2 tight end for the 49ers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Big time. His Iowa quarterback, C.J. Beathard, is their backup. But the thing with Kittle is he blocks well enough to stay on the field for San Francisco.
Okay.
And he's a big-time receiver. He was a huge part of what Iowa did in the passing game.
Yeah.
Take that with a grain of salt because they didn't do much, but he
Right.
was about it.
Thomas, would you happen to be a big Iowa fan by chance? Just a
Nah,
little bit?
Just a little bit.
He's
Okay.
not
Just a little
rowing the
bit.
boat. Let's put it that way.
Oh my gosh.
You're rolling that boat right into some rapids.
I'm on the boat.
We're getting into that later. We are coming back.
I like George Kittle, though. If he's available and you're in a deep league, like 12 team, and your tight end situation isn't great, pick him up.
This is kind of the opposite of what you asked. Someone to maybe stay away from. Do you think Gronk is someone to stay away from? Because I had Gronk and he hosed me this last year.
Never.
Or this last week, I mean.
Never stay. If you have Gronk on your lineup, that's a start.
Are you sure?
He's playing the Saints this week, and we just saw what the Vikings did to them.
That's a start, boy.
That's very true.
Put a hunt on it.
Look at the targets that Tom Brady is losing. I mean, Edelman being gone, somebody's going to have to catch some footballs.
That's fair. That's fair.
All right. I got Jack Doyle. This is kind of a contradiction. I got Jack Doyle for Indianapolis. I mean, a young quarterback in Jacoby Brissett, he's going to have to throw to someone.
Check
and
downs.
the young quarterbacks love throwing to tight ends.
They do.
Especially if it turns into a check down game with that Indianapolis O-line.
It very well might. That's true.
I got Jared Cook this week as someone to pick up. Playing the Jets, as you just said, you would pick up defenses that would play the Jets. Jets defense isn't very good also.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think Jared Cook is a good player. You got Derek Carr throwing to him. Amari Cooper's kind of banged up a little bit. He's going to play, but he's playing hurt. So I think Jared Cook's one person to pick up.
Speaking of Derek Carr, what do we have for quarterbacks this week? That's going to be our last one.
Eli against Detroit.
I know that you usually draft one and then one or two,
right.
but
I think.
What's your mindset?
Or you were saying something, Thomas.
I was saying I like Eli against Detroit. I don't think they're going to be able to get after him as much as other teams can get after the New York Giants. They don't have a great offensive line, but if Manning gets enough time, Brandon Marshall out there, that's a really good passing attack. I like it.
I like it.
Who do you
It's
got?
good. Who do I have? I'm rolling with Cam Newton.
Ooh.
If he plays, Cam is the man.
If he plays.
Yeah.
It's
Cam's
a
the man
conditional
if he
thing.
plays.
It's if he plays. If he doesn't play, then obviously you don't play a person who doesn't start. But
you're hoping.
If he's in, I'm rolling with Cam. I'm on the Cam wagon.
Will.
Either my boy Tommy or Kirk Cousins.
Twommy?
You're going to start me?
Tommy Brady.
Either Tom Brady or Kirk Cousins. Tom Brady is going to be playing New Orleans this week. If Sam Bradford,
I think they're going to own it.
Yeah, if Sam Bradford can get NFC Player of the Week, Brady better get NFL Player of the
Century.
Millennial just for this one game.
You could say it's going to be complete domination.
Complete and utter domination.
Complete and utter domination.
Any last words on that segment on fantasy football? Last tips to our listeners, viewers?
I would try and add on to what Will said, but I have the same quarterbacks, and I think he put it pretty perfect. But I will say, if you for some reason do need a quarterback, I think Carson Palmer is a good pickup. He hasn't played too well, but the Colts defense isn't that great either. So
that's true. Carson Palmer is
someone to look at.
He's a veteran. It's going to be good.
All right, we are moving on, you guys, this week to the NBA ESPN Top 100 list. Did anyone check this out?
Yes.
I, of course, saw that.
It is.
This was great.
I want to talk about the top 10. I'm pulling it up here. I checked it
gosh.
this morning.
That's not where the
That's
controversy
not even where the
is.
What do you
controversies
mean that's
are.
not where the
Okay,
controversy
then
is?
we'll talk everywhere. Where do we want to
Hold up.
start with?
Hold
RJ
up.
Barrett?
Hold
or-
up. Russell Westbrook is below Stephen Curry.
And he should be.
No, he should not. What does Steph Curry do other than shooting that is better than Russell Westbrook? Start right now.
Other than the main point.
Facilitating
One
the ball.
thing. No. Facilitating the Russell Westbrook is literally his team. He led his team.
I'm so
to the
excited for these
playoffs.
talks come basketball. It's going to be so fun.
You cannot put Steph Curry above Russell Westbrook.
It has been done, and it should be done, and here's why. Because Steph is the most prolific shooter and one of the best point guards in the game. I don't care how much Russ dunks. I don't care how much he screams when he does so. Steph is the best point guard.
All right, now I'm
No,
gonna go.
no,
now I'm
he
gonna.
is
Now I'm
not.
gonna. Now I'm gonna jump over to his boat. Just give me a second. Okay, Russell Westbrook would be the best player minus LeBron James in the league if he had some other players to go to. He shoots the ball, and he has to shoot the ball, and he doesn't make a lot of jump shots, but that's only because he doesn't have anyone else on his team last year that could make a bucket.
You don't think Oladipo could have made a bucket?
Let
No.
me finish.
Did you
No,
watch
he
the
can't.
Thunder
He
game?
can't shoot. He can. Victor Oladipo is the same. Not the same, but the same type of player as Russell Westbrook. Athletic, and get to the rack. Now, Westbrook can facilitate the ball a little bit, but he has no one to facilitate it to. If you bring on some guys, which they did this year,
Like Paul George.
and Patterson, he's going to be one of the best. He's going to be the best point guard in the league this
Really
year.
quick, I need to interrupt just for our listeners that do not have any idea what we're talking about. It is the top 100 NBA list released by ESPN. Excuse me. Number 1 is LeBron James, Kevin Durant at number 2, Steph Curry at 3, Kawhi Leonard at 4, Harden at 5, Russell Westbrook at 6, Chris Paul at 7, and just Anthony Davis there at number 8. I don't have to go through the whole 100.
Now, here's my biggest controversy of the whole thing. Ricky Rubio is in the 40s, and he's rated higher than Andrew Wiggins. Now, everyone knows I am the biggest Ricky Rubio there is. Ricky, yeah, whatever. But how is he rated higher than Andrew Wiggins?
I think he has more value to him, though, too, that he's on a team that is rebuilding, and he's...
Yeah, except it's
you
not...
have to look at those.
I get the value thing, but I'm just going off of who's the better player.
Well, think about it skill-wise. If Rubio was an average shooter, like even an average shooter,
he'd be top 30.
He'd be
top 30.
Top 30 exactly. Oh, yeah. But you don't necessarily need a point guard who can shoot the 3 all that well.
Right.
Some offenses you do, some offenses you don't. So away from shooting, Rubio in every aspect of the game is a standout player. He's a top 50, top 40 type of player. Great defender at the point. Very athletic.
Good passer.
He's a great passer.
Right,
it's
for sure.
It's insane. The things that he can create just out of nowhere, just those quick elbow passes all of a sudden. Whoop, who has a ball on the corner? Rubio just got rid of it.
Right.
Stuff like that. I mentioned the defense, but the rebounding, too. He's a solid rebounder at the point.
I agree. I think that...
There's a lot of different things with him that I think... I was talking about the value. That's kind of what the franchise has built themselves on. That's the only support that we've had throughout the last however many years. And then the rebounds, he's everywhere. The passing game is 100% all the time.
I mean, he is in Utah now, and I think he might even serve more of a purpose there since Gordon's gone.
Right.
And Rudy Gobert needs someone to throw, someone to feed him, underneath.
I could see them almost doing what the Thunder did a lot with that the high pick, Gobert up high, top, quick cut on a pick and roll.
Something else. Isaiah Thomas ranked 33.
I agree with this. I agree with this.
What?
Well, he can't. He probably won't even play this year.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm just saying, as in overall skill level and talent. That's what I base my top 100 off. I don't do it by value. I don't do it by injuries. Nothing.
All right.
Talent alone.
I think that if you're going to talk about talent alone, there's someone who got completely hosed in this top 100 list, and it is
Carmelo Anthony.
Carmelo Anthony, ranked number 65. You know who's better than Carmelo Anthony at 64? Malcolm Brogdon, the rookie point guard
and
for the
Lonzo
Bucks.
No, there's some worse ones.
Lonzo Ball.
Danny Green.
Danny Green.
7.3 points a game, and he's ahead of Carmelo, who averaged 22 this last season.
I almost forgot who Danny Green was.
You have a Spurs jersey on, for crying out loud.
Yeah, but
that's blasphemy.
This is David. This is blasphemy.
Wait, I got it.
That is blasphemy.
Okay,
Thank you.
This is David Robinson. Okay, this is a David Robinson jersey. Danny Green is.
Does it say Spurs on the front?
It does. Yeah. Okay, but Carmelo Anthony is ranked 65th.
64th. Excuse me.
Is it 64th? I'm sorry. I apologize. In the mid-60s. And I think he has to be better. He has to be ranked better.
He's at least top 50.
Oh, for sure.
For sure.
I would put him in the mid-40s. I get that he's not at his prime. He used to be an absolute superstar, like top 10 in the league, and he's just not anymore. I get that. But he's not in the bottom half of the top. That's just...
Absolute blasphemy.
It's blasphemous.
Wild.
What do we think about, by the way, changing the subject, Kobe Bryant retiring both of his numbers is such a Kobe thing to do.
He's such a selfish person, I'm telling you.
So you think Kobe Bryant made this decision? The Lakers made this decision.
Clearly I was being
I know, but there
sarcastic if
comes
you
a
didn't
day
pick
where
that
they
up
give
well.
you a call and you say, yeah, that sounds like a great idea.
Yeah,
He
I like
obviously
it.
approved it.
I like it because he like, if you see anybody wearing 8 in a Lakers jersey, you immediately think it's Kobe. And you see anyone wearing 24, you think it's Kobe. Like that, those numbers will never be on a Lakers uniform.
I think Jeff Gordon, 24.
What if LaMelo? what if LaMelo and LiAngelo specifically wanted number 8 and number 24? What do the Lakers do now?
I'm pretty sure they want number 1 and number 3.
Is that what they're gonna do?
It's got to be.
I think they just want 3 Bs on the front of their jerseys.
Just 3. Just.
We're gonna
B
make our
for the
own
number.
team.
I don't know what it stands for, but I know they want it.
All right.
All right, guys, I have to interrupt and say thanks for joining today, all of our viewers and listeners on KVSC as well as UTVS. Again, we're here every Friday at 12:30 p.m. right on the dot. This has been your host, Katie Emmer, with Thomas Breach, Mitchell Barnhart, Will Heyer and Colin Rutkowski. Thanks again, everyone. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next week.
Thank you for listening to Sidelines, your sound and sports alternative. That's 88.1 FM and HD St. Cloud, KVSC.